Let's talk about the healthcare sector and how we can improve it. Joining us from our Abuja studios is Dr. Titilope Obilade. She's an epidemiologist and she joins us now. Thank you for joining us on the program. I'd like to begin by asking about our healthcare system. If it is a result of inconsistent policies of government over the years, or perhaps of doing the same thing and not getting any different results, or rather putting the wrong policies in place?
Thank you for having me. A lot of things go into what we presently have in our situation. First of all, let's look at the budget. How much of our gross domestic product do we give to our healthcare system? We give less than 5%. WHO, though, acts as a guideline, assumes we should give like 5% minimum, but we've been giving less than 5%. And over the years, it's been getting less and less. And then if we look at certain indicators of our health system, we look at the infrastructure, we look at the resources, the human resources as well. How does it compare to others around us, other African countries? We see that there's always a large room for improvement. If our healthcare system was a fuel tank that was full before, it's no longer full. It's like almost running on empty, and it runs on two spheres. We have those that can afford to have a full tank when they go, that's the elitist side, and then those that are impoverished, who cannot even afford to access our healthcare system. So we have a lot of input. Okay, from the input, we also have our processes, and then we have the outcome. Right now, the input that we have put into our healthcare system is diminished, is less than what is supposed to be. Granted, we have a huge population, 200 million approximately, and in the next 30 years, we'll be going to the third most populous nation in the world. So we do have our challenges. And so this is the time to actually build on the inputs that will build up the processes to give us the desired outcomes. So we look at certain indicators that can help us. We look at our maternal mortality rates. We look at our infant death rates. All these things are too high. You can imagine 800 women dying out of 100,000 people just because they have put to bed or because they are pregnant. So these are some of indicators that tells us that Nigeria is not where it's supposed to be. And then when we look at the human resources, let's talk about our hazard allowances, okay? The doctor, just for the African nation alone, if you look at places like Syria alone, Liberia, what they get for hazard is about 60% much higher than what we are getting. Let's say we are getting 5,000 naira for hazard, and they are getting like times 60% of that. So the morale is not there. And then we graduate, maybe we have registered doctors, like 80,000 registered doctors. And then more than half of that are overseas, UK, US, Saudi Arabia. So we're just producing them, but they are not staying because we have not put in the things in place for them to stay. And not only that, the insurance. You have a universal insurance health scheme. Like I said, if we have a health system like a fuel tank, it can be full for those who can afford it. But for those who cannot afford it, it's running on empty, almost on reserve. So we need to bridge that chasm. We need to, by the processes that we put in, these are the things we can put there. The insurance scheme, we have the universal health insurance scheme. Okay, it's getting there, but it has not reached there. And then the informal sector, okay, the vulcanizer, how can they tap into it? Do they have a community-based insurance scheme? So that even for those who get a regular paycheck, they are like one major health condition away from poverty. A major health condition comes to them, and they're impoverished. They have to go and, if they have a house, put it for sale, and this is not how it's supposed to be. So when emergencies like we have, a pandemic comes, where is the resource to gather it? Because what has been inside, the input, like I said, is not sufficient for the processes to give us the desired outcome. So we need to work on our inputs. And those inputs that we look at the human resources, the infrastructure on ground, and then the government. What is the government putting? We have this, what we call the Human Development Index. When we have the Human Development Index, it measures certain things and ranks the countries from those who are most developed and then least developed. And it looks at the life expectancy, it looks at the educational level, it looks at the infrastructure on ground. So Nigeria is coming like, 159th, and if you look at the country that's like at the top, we see something like Norway. Let's look at their indices for health. They have like 10% of their gross domestic product for health alone. So the difference is clear. So we really have to work on our input. The input that we need to have, we need to explain it to our leaders, because we can't always blame our leaders, because there's so many ways that they are stretched. Education is there asking, defense is there asking, but with health. Like
there's also funding challenges. Well, you've spoken extensively about this, and we'd really like to appreciate your insights and analysis on this very important issue. Thank you so much, Dr. Titilope Obilade, an epidemiologist, joining us from our Abuja studios.
Thanks for having me.